brain's not functioning well to schedule people, like, like,
brain fog, bro.
Yeah, just the brain fog, pre-COVID brain fog. So yeah, no, I'm really excited to have you here. This story, I'm really excited to hear it from you, because this story I've heard chunks of, like, when we've hung out, but I've never heard, like, the whole thing start to finish. So, like, I'm really excited to just dive in and get the whole, like, every bit of it, because I know that there's probably some details that I've missed out on throughout the years. So,
and if I've heard it, then I was too drunk to remember it. So
yep.
I'm excited for this too.
Yeah, as is often the case. So, well, sorry, not to say that you're too drunk all the time.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, just the like stories get told in drunken scenarios.
It is true.
The whole idea for this podcast, right? Is recreate those moments.
Indeed.
So you can remember them.
This is a record of the things we were too drunk to remember some other time.
Yep. That would be the tagline.
Right.
Yeah.
This is my own personal drunken time capsule.
Yep. But yeah, man, just take us somewhere. Take us to a time and place, and like we'll chime in when we need to. But I know you've got like a whole ass thing here, so.
Well, just as a little bit of backstory, I grew up in Wyoming. My grandparents lived in a tiny town called Lusk.
Wow.
Lusk is one of the least populated towns in the least populated county in the least populated state in the country. Population, last I checked, was around 1,500 people.
God. Jesus. That's only slightly larger than my high school.
Yeah.
That population does not include the population of the women's prison, which is the single biggest employer in the town at this point.
Holy
sake.
shit. Which, that's crazy. So they're just shipping women prisoners from all over to this place.
Oh, gross.
Probably.
Because certainly, well, unless Lusk is just like buck wild with chicks fucking committing crimes, dude.
Even if it was, the police force of Lusk is not interested in any of that.
Yeah.
But my encounters, or my family's encounters with the police force of Lusk, is a story for another time.
Oh boy. Shit. Yep.
Appropriate for the podcast, but would bog this story down.
Fair enough. All right. Well, yeah. This won't be the last time we have you here.
And for reasons that will become clear as the story unfolds, I now typically refer to Lusk in conversation as Horse Trample, Wyoming.
Which, if you told me that you grew up in Horse Trample, Wyoming, I'd be like, "Where's that? What county?"
Yeah, I wouldn't even bat an eyelash. I'd be like, "Oh, is that like in the northern part?" Or
Yeah. I have not met a single person that questions that as the legitimate name of a town.
Sounds like somewhere in Wyoming, you know?
Yep.
Yep.
So, Lusk has a fondness for its place in the Old West traditions. It's about 50 miles away from the Oregon Trail. You can still see wagon ruts in the dirt if you know where to look.
Man, that's so wild. I can't believe that's lasted all those years.
Right? That's sandstone shit, right?
Yep.
And just shows how many people traveled it, I guess.
Oh, right, exactly, because they had to fucking burn through all the topsoil before they got down there. You know? Like, yeah, it's just crazy.
Ironclad wooden wagon wheels just running a groove in the sandstone that's there however many hundred years later.
That's how you know how to get there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
not too far from there is an old abandoned hotel and Pony Express station.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Has a historical marker outside that explains all about it, but it hasn't been kept up in any way. but is also not secured in any way.
Ooh.
So I like poked around in all the parts of the old Pony Express station.
That's cool.
That I wasn't afraid I might fall through the wall or the floor of.
Holy shit.
That's cool. Yeah, Wyoming's lousy with ghost towns. They're everywhere.
Like an all wood building, or?
It is not all wood, but the parts that aren't are a lot of crumbling stucco and stonework.
Oh shit, dude! Wow.
It's
I
the
love old urban decay kind of shit. That's
the hotel part of it is 2 stories,
okay.
and like they're props to the Urbex people, whoever they are out there, that they follow the generally accepted guidelines of take pictures but leave shit there, because there were still like room keys on hooks behind the desk.
Whoa.
That's wild.
For a place that, you know, probably hadn't seen a customer since the late 1880s.
Yeah, if there were more people in that part of the world, those places would have been burned down and spray painted a long time ago.
Yeah, right. Is that what they call that? Urbex? Like
yeah.
Folks who do like abandoned...
Urban exploration.
Urban exploring. Oh, yeah, of course,
cool.
right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That shit's so cool.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And in the in-between spaces where towns used to be and now they're gone in Wyoming, that's a great place to go do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's just tons of that stuff. When I was a kid, we used to go camp in Wyoming a lot, and we would just find like old mines and stuff. A lot of that shit's boarded up now.
Right.
Because it is just such a safety hazard. But yeah, there'd just be old buildings, little huts, you know, where the miners lived and stuff. And you could actually go in the mines. We'd never go in far because we knew the danger of it and everything. But it was just like fucking wild.
Yeah. Southeast Oregon, like Harney, Malheur County, like some of those old West ranches, like when I was a kid, we went driving around out there, and there was this old wooden house with newspaper on the walls inside, and it's so dry out there that it was preserved, and it was from the turn of the century.
Whoa.
Like,
that's wild.
You know, just before 1900. Because you could read the date.
Right.
Yeah, right, of course, yeah. No, that's just so wild.
So
Just, there's got to be like historians running around trying to like figure out like where, you know, who the fuck lived in that house, but where did they go, you know, like who just abandons their house.
I'm sure somebody knows, like somebody probably even owns the property, but it's just like what do you do with this old fucking house?
right.
Yeah, that's so wild. It's cool that it's fucking cool that stuff exists, that it hasn't just been destroyed by assholes or whatever.
I mean, you know, this is when I was a kid, you know, 30 plus years ago. So.
Yeah, so maybe not. Maybe that one, but
you know, back in 2012, which is when this story takes place, my grandparents were still alive, and my grandfather took us on a tour of landmarks from his childhood, because his father moved his family out there to Homestead.
Shit.
And there's nothing left where the old homestead was, but the one-room schoolhouse that my grandfather went to first, second, and half of third grade in is still standing.
Wow.
And was in use as recently as the 80s.
Wild.
Holy shit.
It seems to have spent some time as a makeshift church for people who lived out in BFE, out on the plains. Also probably hosted some 12-step meetings based on the things that I found laying around when I poked around there. But
community center kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The fact that in 2012 I could go look at the one-room schoolhouse that my grandfather attended school in the 40s is a testament both to how dry it is and how empty it is in Wyoming.
Totally. Yeah, that's true. There's not enough people coming through to fuck with it. So
Fucking A.
So, one of the ways that Lusk lets you know how proud they are of their place in history
Oh, God.
is an annual event that they call the Legend of Rawhide Pageant.
Yes.
The Legend of Rawhide Pageant is a 2-day event that is a dramatic reenactment of the legend of the founding of the town of Lusk, Wyoming.
My God.
what year was this town founded in? You must know this, right?
I don't remember.
No one actually knows. It's been
actually knows.
lost to the sands of time.
That's the joke. They don't actually know.
1,000 years ago, before Sigourney Weaver.
Once upon a time when the firewater ran freely and blankets were handed out without a care.
Oh, yeah.
God damn it.
So this pageant is a thing that happened every summer since my parents were kids. Mm-hmm. And I happened to be in Wyoming in 1992 and realized that I had never gone to the pageant. And it's a big deal. I had family who acted in it. I had family who dealt with the logistics of putting it on. It's a town tradition, and so in some ways a family tradition, because I have family who were born and raised in Lusk and left long enough to get a 4-year degree and then ended up back there and are still there today.
Dear God.
Shit. Oh, man. What do you do with a 4-year degree in Lusk?
Drink a lot.
Yeah.
You become the grade school librarian or the high school home ec teacher.
Loans and yeah.
So, I
manage the subway, I guess. Manage the local subway. Dude, I swear, fucking Wyoming's lousy with ghost towns and subways. They're fucking everywhere, dude.
I
Everyone's
remember.
lousy with subways.
That's
I
kinda
remember
true.
when the subway moved into that town.
Yeah.
It opened in 1992, right next door to the town's first video rental store,
Whoa.
which opened in 1991.
Whoa.
Jesus.
Fucking getting with the times, Lux.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the video store was in a double wide,
Yes.
Fuck yes.
and
course it was.
the
my
subway
God. That's
was in a
wonderful.
converted tough shed.
Holy
Yes.
shit. I don't know if that would pass the fucking inspection here in Oregon. Like, damn.
Luckily, OSHA had never even heard of Wyoming.
Wait, is that even part of the United States? I think that's a protectorate.
Yeah. I don't think that's real. I think you're making that up.
I have heard those very words before, as a matter of fact. I've also heard them about Vermont.
No, wait. What does Lusk have to do with Rawhide?
Yeah, I've been waiting for the legend.
Yeah, the legend.
Just like
That is a very good question, which I don't have an answer
Well,
to, and which the legend itself does not actually explain.
Yeah. Well, as someone who never attended this thing, I guess I'm not surprised you don't know the legend inside and out, and the details, all the finer points.
I'm sorry if I'm like fucking, jumping the fucking gun here, but like, have you never seen this fucking pageant in your whole life?
I saw it once
Okay.
in 2012.
Got it. But so where you were in the story, you realized that you'd never seen it before.
Right.
But in spite of spending summers with grandparents out there, you never went?
Nope.
Did they not go?
I believe we never went because we just never spent the right part of the summer in them. There was also...
Oh, okay, so they would go see it when you weren't hanging out, and by the time you got there, they'd already, like, been, and it's like...
Right. It either hadn't happened yet, or it had already happened whenever we got there as kids.
Oh, and so it's like a 1 week kind of...
It's a 2-day.
2-day, got it,
2-day
okay.
event.
Wow, yeah.
And
okay.
so I had never seen it. I knew that there was a stretch of...
I guess in a small town, like, you really only need 2 performances and everybody's
Right.
fucking seen it. So.
Yeah.
And half the town is in the thing, so...
Right.
And it does pull in a certain amount of tourist traffic. Strangely.
People in China. Wowee! Round up the kids. We gotta go see that Legend of Rawhide.
No, I get it, though.
And we'll hit the Tough Shed subway while we're there.
Especially people from out of state, like, love this kind of fucking Americana shit.
No, honestly,
you know?
I was actually just kind of envisioning, like,
Well, here's-
maybe one of these days I'll plan a road trip where I just try and hit these little, like, small town...
Like,
But I
here's...
mean, like,
events.
growing up
Another-
in Bend and, like, seeing this kind of shit in other places, it's just like, oh my god. You know, like, it's just fucking...
I'm getting real, like, Pawnee vibes, like Parks and Rec Pawnee vibes, where they just have, like, a potluck and all these dumb little games for everyone, and, like, yeah.
My grandmother was Japanese. She was born and raised in Japan and got married to my grandfather when he was stationed in Japan during the Korean War, and then got moved to Trample, Wyoming.
Wild.
Home of the Legend of Rawhide.
Right.
And
Right.
because she was the only ethnic person in town for who knows how long. I think she was the only ethnic person who lived in town for at least the first decade of her time there before a Chinese family got to town.
Wow. I was gonna say, or like a Mexican or something, you know? It's like, yeah, just some... Oh, Jesus. That's crazy.
That's intense.
We got 2 foreigners in this town.
Yep, there were 3 when an Australian moved to town.
Oh my god.
Man.
So
Moved to the outback of America.
My-
You know what I mean?
my grandmother would regularly host groups of Japanese foreign exchange students for the summer.
Cool.
And some of them saw the
maybe.
Legend of Rawhide, and because of the way Japanese interest in American culture works, there are, strangely, a fair number of Japanese tourists that show up every now and then to watch the Legend of Rawhide.
Yeah.
Fuck
Like,
yeah.
Those are the people who are into this shit. Like, you go to the fucking Oregon Trail Museum in Baker, and it's like fucking Japanese tourists, dude. Like, huge buses of them. Like,
Interesting.
just eating that shit up.
Well,
But
sure. Okay.
also, like,
it kind of makes sense.
school kids from other towns, you know, like the historical walking tour that tells you about the history of Laramie is a very, very different experience than the reenactment of the Legend of Rawhide in Lusk.
Yeah.
Big difference in culture between Laramie and Lusk, honestly.
Oh yeah.
wow.
Laramie's like a city. You know,
And-
it's
and-
got a college. And
It's got a college. You know, important people stopped to stump there on presidential campaigns in the 1700s or whatever.
Yeah.
So, do the people in Lusk kind of have a chip on their shoulder about the folks from Laramie? Like,
Those are city folk.
yeah, it's like the fucking Eagleton kind of shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Not so much.
Okay.
But they still have immense pride in this pageant. And the way the pageant works is on Friday, late in the afternoon, a parade will depart
Naturally.
from the fairgrounds
Fantastic.
and go to the other end of town and turn around and go back to the fairgrounds.
Well, yeah, you got to do a couple passes, otherwise
Yeah.
it's over in 10 minutes, right?
Especially in a small town, it's like it's like a 5-minute affair.
Yeah, they're moving at parade speed, so you might give it 20 minutes, but it goes from one end of town back to the fairgrounds, and pretty much once the parade has passed you by, you start making your way to the fairgrounds. And get your hot dogs and your pretzels and stop by the beer tent and whatever else, and then go take your seat in the stands and wait for the pageant to start.
Right.
So I had never seen the pageant. I had never seen the parade. It was this major event for the townsfolk. It's a thing that my family had been involved in previous decades.
2012, so you're in your 30s now? It's been many years since you did your childhood stints there.
Yeah, 2012, I would have been 28. Yep.
28, okay.
Yep, just about 30. I was actually in Wyoming for my 20th high school reunion.
Okay.
Even though
that's what you were there for.
Yeah, even though I didn't graduate from high school in Wyoming, the classmates that I went to 6th grade with in Wyoming were the classmates that invited me to the 20-year high school reunion. Awesome. Not the group I graduated with, but
awesome.
Again, totally other story. No resentment whatsoever, I swear. Fuck you, Vermont.
Nice.
No, I'm still in touch with almost all of the Vermont classmates that I care to be in touch with, and all 5 of them know it.
Nice.
Getting back to small town Wyoming, in kind of the same way that I went to go see the Grateful Dead in concert because it seems like the kind of thing you should do at least once in your life if you have the chance.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I had the chance to go see this pageant.
Right. You're like, I've heard Legend of the Legend, so
Yeah.
it's time to see it for my own
what
self.
exactly is the Legend of Rawhide? I must know.
That year, my aunt was the MC for the event.
Nice.
Her oldest child, my cousin, was playing the princess in the pageant. So there was also some supporting of the family.
There's a fucking princess in this pageant?
Yes.
The king and queen of Wyoming. You didn't know that? You didn't know Wyoming was royalty based?
We might have to make a field trip. That's all I'm saying. If there's a fucking princess in The Legend of Rawhide, like, I gotta fucking see this show, man.
So there was this once in a lifetime experience, sort of this I've never done it before and I should have by now experience. There was supporting my family. There was everybody knows I'm in town and everybody's going to know if I don't show up because this is a town where everybody knows everybody. And being in the grocery store, I had little old ladies mistaking me for my uncle, but also mistaking me for my father, who hadn't lived in that town in 30 years.
Yeah.
So...
Wow.
That's funny, though. They just see someone they don't quite recognize, and it's like, well, you must be
You look close
so-and-so.
enough to that
Right.
face, yeah.
Right, you look like this person I remember from 30 years ago, and you're hanging out with another member of that family, so I'm just going to say, hey, it's been a long time. How are you doing, Bruce? I'm not Bruce. I'm his oldest son. Bruce hasn't lived here in decades. I have no idea who you are, but I'm doing well, thanks. What aisle is the cream cheese in?
Yeah. Also, are you here with someone? Like,
Yeah, are you going to be able to get back to wherever it is you need to go? No, I mean, it does make sense, though. It's like, well, it couldn't just be some rando. Like, randos don't come here, you know?
Right.
Also, that's just kind of endearing as well. Like,
No, it is.
It's just that there's this fucking genetic memory in this town. Like, they just recognize anyone from this fucking family. Like,
strangely, I encountered that same thing when I first moved to Portland because my father and brother lived here for 15 years before I got to town.
Oh, that's funny.
And my dad had left at least 5 years before I got to town, but I would have people from the neighborhood walk up to me on the street and say, "Oh, hey, you're Bruce's kid, right? How's he doing?
Wow.
When you talk to him, tell him that so-and-so said hi." Like, people in the neighborhood I just arrived in knew who I was, even though I'd never met them.
Wild.
also, like, how trippy would that be, like, knowing your dad and, like, having heard about you through him and having seen pictures of you and then, like, just bumping into you on the street and being like, holy shit, there's fucking Bruce's kid.
Yeah.
That's weird. I'm going to go say hi.
Yeah.
So, Bruce, having gone to high school in Horse Trample, my grandparents still living in Horse Trample, which, in case I hadn't made it clear already, I'm going to refer to Lusk as Horse Trample for the rest of this story and probably the rest of my life.
Good, because you know what? Lusk is actually something that a fucking Catholic camp counselor called, like, second base lust. So,
Lusk?
like, yeah, every time you say Lusk, I'm just like, yeah, that's junior high horniness, basically. Like, is the name of that town.
Well, I also have... I have a friend, former employee of Dark Horse, whose last name is Lusk, and I ran into all kinds of trouble telling this story to drunk Dark Horse friends who kept thinking I was talking about somebody else who has nothing to do with the story.
Oh,
So,
That's awkward.
Horse Trample just makes it easier for everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
Won't offend anyone.
Right.
And it just sounds like the name of the town.
So-
You know?
It truly does, yeah.
I mean, the Horse Trample area rodeo, like,
yeah.
come on.
Get situated for this parade. Find our spot on the sidewalk.
Got your lawn chairs.
We were just about at the turnaround point.
Ooh, that's a hot spot.
It is.
Yeah. And got situated, watching everything come down the street from blocks away.
What kind of parade? Do they build a float? Is there a float? Any floats? Or is it mostly just like...
There are no floats. There's...
the high school... Yeah, I didn't figure. Yeah. I didn't figure there would be, but like...
There's like moms pulling kids in wagons and shit.
The high school, like, color guard, maybe?
There's the high school color guard. There's, like... I don't remember the local Lions Club or whatever fraternal organization.
Oh, yeah.
The Moose Lodge.
Uh-huh.
Shriners in their go-karts, maybe.
There were none of those. I don't know if the
Sisters Rodeo Parade has you guys beat.
If the Benevolent Order
Sunday.
of the Elks kept the Shriners out of town or what.
The Shriners are still on the Oregon Trail, but the little cars don't go that fast, so...
Hey,
they keep getting stuck in the wagon ruts.
Yep. That too.
So, there's like a couple of police cruisers and the homecoming queen in somebody's convertible.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And,
of course.
just
a couple cops. We got a couple cops. Put the lights on.
fire
throw them
truck,
in the parade.
Yeah, the
fire truck,
trucks.
ambulance, and then
All of the municipal vehicles.
most of the cast of the pageant.
Right.
Ah, okay, yeah.
So, as previously stated, this pageant, this whole foofara, is retelling the legend of the formation of the town back in old Wild West days.
Before recorded history.
But because this is the least populated county, and a town where at one point in time there were 4 ethnic families in the whole town, if you're gonna tell a story that involves cowboys fighting Injuns,
Oh boy.
you are gonna have to convince some high school kids to get done up in red face
Oh, god damn it. I
Here
knew
we
that's where
go.
we were going.
Here we
and
fucking
ride
go.
shirtless on horses
No.
in the parade,
No.
whooping and hollering and waving
With, like-
fake tomahawks
No.
Shit, dude.
and
Man.
brandishing
God.
bows and arrows and wearing feathered.
God damn it.
This
A mere-
is in 2012?
This is in 2012.
Oh my god.
No, a mere 30 seconds ago, I was about to do like a little disclaimer of just like, hey, we poke a lot of fun, but like, you know, small towns or whatever, like they're fine. Glad
Yep.
I didn't do that.
Yep.
I'd be taking it all back right now
Yep.
because like, holy fuck, god damn it, fuck
Okay, so
this.
Holy shit, dude.
This may be jumping the gun a little bit, but for inclusion in your show notes.
Well, that
I-
was one of the events at the pageant was called jumping the gun. Right? That's what people do for fun.
Pay a quarter, you can jump the gun.
And you get a kiss from the princess.
No thanks, that's my cousin.
The odds would be,
Hey,
yeah.
man, no one judges in this fucking part of the country, all right? Like, no big deal.
For the sake of the show notes, I sent you a link to
did?
an entire magazine article published in Harper's about this very pageant.
Oh, okay. So I can go read up on the legend.
You can go read
The
up
Legend
on
of Red Face.
the Legend of Rawhide, the article about how Wyoming has a red face problem.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh, they got called out by Harper's.
They
Whoa.
did.
Do they
And
still do this? They can't. They must not, right?
they do.
Oh
Well,
my
I mean, the
god!
pageant, but do they still do the fucking red face? shit?
I'm sure they do.
Wow.
I'm sure they do. I shouldn't say sure. I don't doubt that they
yeah,
do.
okay. I don't doubt
You
it
can't
either,
think
but
of any
like,
reason why they would not
Right.
at this point,
My-
based on their
my
track record.
goodness.
Okay. Fuck.
So
okay.
I have my place on the sidewalk, just a couple doors down from the pizza place, across the street from the hardware store, watching the police cars and the Elks and the Homecoming Queen and all of these kids in red face on their horses coming down the street.
My fucking god.
And I'm there with my camera because I don't go anywhere without my camera. Like, I'm going to take pictures of this event. And
Well, you're like, yeah. For those who don't know, for the listener at home, you're like a really good photographer. Like you do it semi-professionally, even. So
yes, thank you.
yeah, your work is fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you
I
very much.
concur.
And in fact, yeah, anywhere in this we can, and on the show notes, I'll put plugs to like your Insta and shit so people can check your work out.
Fantastic. I can also, when I hunt it down, send you the 2 pictures I managed to get involving this whole
Okay.
scenario.
Sweet. Okay.
Wow.
So I was there to witness the parade and take part in the pageantry and get some pictures and complete my growing up in Wyoming bingo card.
Got it.
Right.
Yeah. Just trying to like tick this off as something that you've done from this place
Yes.
that you grew up in. Makes sense.
Well, actually, learn the legend. you
And,
know?
and
Discover the mystery behind the legend.
here they come, and I'm thinking, Why am I not surprised? That's kind of disgusting.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go ahead and take these pictures because this is the reality of this community. I'm not going to let it hide. I'm not going to whitewash it. I'm not going to try and help anybody save face, but I'm also not doing this to shame anybody. I am just going to take my camera, document the reality that there are a bunch of high school kids painted head to toe in reddish brown paint, looking like they were Leonard Nimoy in an episode of Gunsmoke.
Jesus fuck, dude. Oh my god.
That's a deep cut.
Oh. Sick burn.
Yep.
Fuck. Just for clarity.
Yes.
You've already mentioned that this town was monochromatic, but how far off is the nearest native reservation?
That's a good question. I think I'm not sure whether the Wind River Reservation is closer than any of the reservations up in the Black Hills, but it's probably a good 200 to 300 miles.
Yeah, they're oddly sparse in Wyoming.
All right.
There's not that many.
Just curious.
Wyoming's a shit ton of national park, and then some cities or cities, a city or two, some towns,
right.
And then some reservations here and there.
Yeah,
but
tribal folks are a lot more integrated here in Oregon, but I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Every place I lived in the 12 years that I lived in Wyoming felt like the whitest place you could imagine until I moved to Vermont.
Damn, Vermont's gonna fucking get one this episode.
When I moved to Vermont in 1987, it was, according to census records, statistically speaking, the whitest state in the country.
Fuck.
Vermont was whiter
than Wyoming.
Whiter than Wyoming.
I would have said Wyoming, Minnesota.
You gotta have migrant workers and shit in Wyoming, though.
Wyoming,
that's true.
Wyoming has Native Americans. Wyoming,
true.
Has a Mexican population.
Right.
Any kind of large agricultural state is going to have a migrant population.
When I was in 5th grade, there was one Indian kid from India that went to our school. In Vermont, in all of my junior high and high school, in 6 years in Vermont, I remember one other Asian kid and one black family.
Wow. Yeah. That's, well, fucking A, Vermont. Let's fucking diversify a little, guys. We can do it.
Anybody else there was either up from New York because they wanted to get to some place where the pace of life was a little slower. So we'll leave New York City or Albany and move just across the lake to southern Vermont. Mm-hmm. Or folks that came down from Canada. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of Montrealers. Mm-hmm. But this story's about Wyoming.
We'll get back to you, Vermont. Don't think your time here is fucking done.
I have
not heard the last of me, Vermont.
Plenty of stories about being just not white enough in so very white community.
Oh, jeez.
Fuck's sake.
So, parade's happening. People are gathered. Kids are cheering. Music's playing. It's a grand time for everybody. And in order to get the best pictures I can. I step down off the curb, just like 6 or 8 inches out into the street, so that I'm not trying to photograph around spectators and can just get the parade. And as I'm lining up my shots and taking pictures, I hear a bunch of loud, mostly indiscernible noise.
Rubble.
Shock and surprise and screaming and sounds of panic coming from behind me.
Fuck.
Pandemonium.
Pandemonium indeed. So I snap the 2 pictures I'm trying to get, and I turn around to see what all this panic is that's happening behind me. And when I turn around, the very first thing I see is the underside of a horse.
And, like, you've, like, spun around. Are you still kind of crouched and you've spun around, or you're, like, full standing and spun around?
I'm full standing.
Fuck.
I turn around, and I am looking at a full-size mare, probably 1,200 pounds of horse, reared up on its 2 hind legs with its front hooves up in the air, and this kid in red face hanging onto the reins with one hand, hanging off the back of this horse.
Fuck.
And these hoofs, like, pointed right at my fucking head. And
Jesus, dude.
there wasn't a whole lot of conscious thought involved. The thought was, get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah?
But don't take your eyes off this horse.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you're either getting out of there or you're going through it.
And so, I don't think people are generally in the habit of thinking about their movement in terms of one side or the other so much as forwards or backwards.
Sure.
So
Right.
I'm like, I need to back away from this horse.
Right.
But I don't dare turn around and take my eyes off of it.
Right.
So I take 2 steps backwards. Mind you, I'm still standing in the street.
Uh-huh.
I take 2 steps backward and I run into somebody or something. Like, my heel hits something soft and squishy, and I hear a grunt and a curse, and then I fall on my ass.
No! Always dodge roll behind the boss. Dude.
So somebody else who had been on the sidewalk, who also decided they needed to get away from the path of the horse, had dodged out into the street, tripped and fallen in the street behind me.
Classic tabletop.
And yeah, I got tabletopped over my aunt.
Motherfucker!
So I hit the ground, my aunt jumps up, dashes out of the way.
Oh, traitorous, rogue.
And I look up, and the front 2 hooves of this horse, like, I'm laying in the street, my head had bounced off the pavement, my camera, like, flew out of my hand and bounced across the street.
Jesus.
Like, I've got the wind knocked out of me, a
you're
headache.
just, like, turtle shelled, fucking...
Yeah.
Laying fucking...
Yep.
Oh,
like,
God.
my head is spinning, I'm seeing stars, and these 2 front hooves coming down at me.
Yeah, that's classic fucking warhorse situation right there.
And I caught the left front hoof on my right thigh, about halfway in between my hip and my knee.
It's not great, but it's a pretty good place to take
a meaty spot.
blow, yeah.
And I caught the right front hoof about 2 inches below my ribs.
Terrible.
Oh, God.
On
squishiest
the left
spot.
side.
Fucking terrible. Oh, my God.
Oh.
And thankfully, the reflexes of the horse amounted to, this is not stable footing for my front feet, so I'm going to jump.
Oh. Thank goodness, otherwise your liver would have been pateed.
And the thing is, like, I had actually...
Pate. That took me a second, man. God damn it.
Oh, I am not the best foie gras, guys.
Fucking spread that shit on a baguette, dude. Fucking been pateed.
So I had managed to get, like, my elbows up underneath me, and I was in the process of trying to get up. I was not laying flat on the ground when the hoofs hit me, which is one of the things that saved me.
Right. Because the force ended up knocking you.
The one that hit my leg was just full down, like, hoof, leg, pavement.
Yeah.
But the one that hit my torso pushed me back down. So it was a punch, but it wasn't like a press.
It was a gut punch, but not a squish.
And then the horse jumped over me.
Whoa.
That's a good horse.
And I'm
yeah.
I'm laying there in pain. I'm wailing. I'm in shock. Anybody that hadn't fled in panic was now circling around me with, is he okay? Can anybody tell? Is he conscious? What's happening? And my injured, like, in shock self is laying there going, yes, I'm conscious. Where's my camera? Does anybody know where my camera is?
Yep.
Right, you're just like, I'm probably fine or whatever.
Like, this hurts, but that thing is how I make my art. It's how I make money. You're like, where is my camera?
Fuck my body. Like, get my camera. I get that.
So I think my brother found my camera. He's like, it looks banged up, but it's here. I've got it. My dad is screaming at people to back up, make room, give me air. He's trying to ask me questions, like meaningful questions, to see if I've got a concussion or anything.
So, I mean, like...
Right.
There's an ambulance right there, right? It's in the parade, right?
It is in the parade, but... It's about 3 blocks down the road.
It already done its turnaround.
Yeah. No, it hadn't gotten
made it there
to the turnaround yet.
Right, because we're still in the Legend of Rawhide portion of the parade, which is premiere.
So,
which is followed by the collection of municipal vehicles.
Right,
what they had to do
exactly
was the marshal at the front of the parade or whomever had to get on the walkie and radio back, and people had to come and, like, tell everybody further down the parade route who didn't know what happened that we need to stop the parade, and all you people need to move to the sides, which means all you spectators need to move to the sides to make room for the parade to move to the sides so that the town's one ambulance can get to where a horse just ran over some poor slop.
Holy shit.
Oh, man.
The emergency protocols here leave a little to be desired.
So the ambulance shows up. They come out, they clear everybody out of the way. They look me over, they say, well, this seems like it could be pretty bad. So we need to assess the extent of your injuries before we attempt to move you. But we can't really do that right now because you're wearing clothes.
Oh, Lord.
So they proceeded to cut everything but my tighty-whities off of me in the middle of Main Street in front of all the parade guests.
That seems a bit excessive.
So I'm laying there in my underwear with a bruise forming on my leg and a bruise forming on my torso and any number of people having any number of panicked reactions.
Wait, and you clocked your head on the curb too,
and
right?
I clocked my head on the street. And my dad is trying to get the information to the paramedics that, like, I'm his dad. You better fucking believe I'm riding with you in the ambulance. I'm going, I don't have any clean laundry, and they just cut my clothes off of me. Like, you know where the hospital is. Like, why don't you go get me some clothes and meet me at the hospital? And my dad's arguing with me about that.
That's your thought. You're just like, come on, man.
Right.
You're like, I'm
So
mostly fine.
You go
get
find
me
my
some
camera.
fucking
You go
clothes.
get me some clothes. You go get a French baguette.
We got a lot of pate here.
and as previously mentioned, this is a small ass fucking town. Given the way the economy was around 2012, even though the town has a hospital,
I was gonna say, how does a town of 1,500 have a hospital? Like, isn't there like?
They built it in a tough shed.
There we go. We got.
Actually,
there.
they put 2 tough sheds together.
It's a double wide with a tough shed on the back.
That's the ICU.
it doubles as the technical college. The town was more prosperous once upon a time in the late 70s when there was oil work to be had in the area. Yeah. But the presence of a hospital and an ambulance does not necessarily mean there is a presence of doctors.
Right.
Shit.
And in that we love to look back on our Old West heritage sort of point of view. The way things worked in that town was there was basically one surgeon, one ER doctor type doctor who spent 1 week a month in each of the 4 towns in his area.
Well, and currently he's got to wash off some red face before he can
He's got to stable his horse and fucking take a shower before he can even look at a patient.
Somehow I imagine that he would if you're making doctor money, you don't play red face. You're one of the good guys.
Oh, you're right. Fair. You're one of the cowboys.
This is why the high school kids had to do it. All right.
Lucky for me, it was the week for the doctor to be in town.
Wow. Okay.
So
what are the odds?
They get me to the hospital.
You should bring the doctor in town for the pageant.
Like this all checks out with the emergency protocols and everything.
Right.
They call a nurse to come in. Dude, when I arrived at the hospital, there were no lights on. They had to disarm the alarm.
We're gonna have to reboot the hospital real quick.
Lights on in order to get me situated.
Pull start the generator because they're redirecting all the fucking electricity to the fucking.
Hold on. Usually this powers the jail. We just gotta flip the
switch. We've gotta wait for Windows NT to boot up so that we can log the fact that we're going to get you drugs out of the lockup.
Fucking damn it. Well, we would give you medicine, but we got to wait for Windows. Son of a bitch.
So,
okay.
As if this dystopia wasn't boring enough.
They get me a blanket since I'm freezing cold in shock in my underwear in an unlit hospital with no heat on. They feed me some foul tasting shit that they need in order to do the imaging.
Oh yeah.
And then strangely enough, in a town that has their only franchise fast food place in a tough shed, they had a CT machine.
Wow. The medical infrastructure here is insanely robust for the population size.
Right.
Yeah.
This must be the only urban center for a lot of agrarian land for it to have this kind of infrastructure.
It's really not. I think the deal was that in the late 70s and the early 80s, the population was big enough.
Oh, oil money, duh.
To warrant them having their own hospital rather than sending folks to the next town over. which had a bigger hospital but also had a college. And at one point also had a beet mill for sugar production.
You know what? Redmond's got a hospital. Like, I don't know why I'm tripping. Like, it's fine.
So I drink the nasty shit. They give me the scans. I wait on the results. My grandmother shows up, having gone to the town's only second-hand shop and purchased me 3 new pairs of jeans at the thrift store.
Oh no! And it was your grandma. Grandmas never get this stuff right.
Nope.
You know those were some fucking dad jeans.
Some ill-fitting fucking out-of-fashion jeans.
There
dude.
was 1 pair of acid-washed Wranglers that were too big.
Fuck yeah.
And 2 pairs of mom jeans.
Whoa.
Shit.
Okay, that's a curveball. I was not expecting just out and out mom jeans. Like,
Yeah.
As far as grandma was concerned, dungarees are dungarees.
Wow, grandma.
This is the same grandma that in the 90s was like cutting out fabric scraps to put her own coyote in a bandana appliques on her hoodies. Grandma didn't have a lot of fashion sense, and that's okay. I had pants.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
at that point.
They
Yeah.
tell me, all right, there's no internal bleeding, no broken bones. You've got a pretty serious bruise, and this is hopefully a thing that none of you had any reason to already be aware of. But they don't always get it wrong in the cartoons. The bruise that I had was a bright purple horseshoe shape.
Yeah.
I looked like I had been pummeled by like a Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
Purple horseshoe. Thanks for your time in Wyoming. Have a souvenir. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Turns out that aspect of cartoon violence is astonishingly
Yes.
accurate.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
good to know.
here you go. Nothing's broken. There's no internal bleeding. You're probably going to feel like shit for a week or 2. Here's 2 Vicodin. You are discharged.
Get back to the pageant.
Wow. That's
Yes.
some fucking frontier medicine right there.
2 Vicodin.
Wow.
So we left. I told my dad on the way out of the hospital we are stopping by the liquor store
Yeah.
because
Because these 2 Viking aren't doing
2
shit.
Vicodin are not going to get me very
Yeah.
far.
Are you feeling pretty fucking sore at this point?
Yes.
I mean, a horse stepped on him in
Yeah.
2 places.
I
like,
didn't mean to ask it like a dumb fucking question. Even though I guess it was a
that
dumb
point,
fucking question. But like,
a lot of the shock had worn off.
yeah.
And the pain was really starting
So
to
you're just
set.
like, you're just like, damn, I got fucking punched super hard by like metal
Yep.
fists.
And I had to pull pants on over this fucking bruise on my leg.
Your left leg, yeah.
And like I'm
Jesus.
starting to feel the throb in the back of my head from where I've got a little goose egg.
fuck.
And so we
The
stopped.
worst part is you'll never know the legend. Like,
Son of a bitch.
Oh, sirs, the story is not yet over.
no, I assume you'll cover some other things, but I have some follow up questions right now.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
So we head by the liquor store. I pick up a 6 of Guinness. We go over to
Medicine.
my buddy's friend's workshop, and I pop open a Guinness and wash down a Vicodin with it. And
This is all medically approved.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
you know, I tend to be a person who nurses my drinks as the fact that I'm only 2/3 of the way through this 22 that I started the show with.
Hey, that's a nutbuster, though. So
in name and effects.
I finished up my pint of Guinness in about 15 minutes and promptly opened a second one.
Zang.
And
that's what you do, for sure.
When the throbbing in the back of my head finally stopped, I looked at my dad and I said, you know, all of this happened because I wanted to see this fucking pageant, so has it started yet?
Oh, shit.
So, as it turns out, because the parade had to move out of the way and be put on pause for the ambulance and everything.
Oh, shit. You bumped all the festivities back.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The pageant had not yet started. So I said, well, this is what I came here for. I'm going to have one more Guinness. And let's go to this fucking thing.
Yes.
I got a Vicodin and a couple Guinnesses in me. Let's fucking see this thing.
I'm in the right frame of mind for this thing now. I'm going to get it.
As it happened, the fairgrounds where the pageant was going to take place was a block and a half away from where I was drinking.
Shut the fuck up.
So we
I mean, like, is anything more than a block?
Yeah, like everything's a block and a half away, right? Yeah.
We moseyed our way over to the fairgrounds, and as we're approaching the dude taking tickets and selling admission and whatever, the guy looks out and he says, looks like four of ya? And somebody in the group said, yep. And he was halfway through telling us how much admission was going to be, and he did a double take. He said, oh, are you the young fella that got hit by the horse earlier?
Instant local celebrity.
I said, yes, sir, I am. He says, oh, yeah, we ain't charging you for that. Like,
Well, thank God for that.
you guys are with him, right? You're all in free. And as we're making our way,
How you get in, you just gotta take a lift to the abdomen,
Right?
and then fucking,
Just throw yourself in front of the horse. You can go see the pageant
then
for
you're
free.
VIP, baby.
Yeah.
making our way in, the dude gets on the walkie and tells somebody else, hey, horse dude's here. I don't remember exactly
Shit.
what he said, but
Fuck's sake.
but the word spreads like wildfire, right?
Oh man. Just look out for the whitewashed Wranglers. You'll find them. You'll see them. You can't miss them.
It's a dude in mom jeans. He's limping.
Do his clothes not fit? Does he seem like he's full of painkillers? That guy.
He's got a horseshoe-shaped bruise.
So we get in there. I decide I want something to eat to offset these 3 pints of Guinness and this 1 Vicodin.
Got to cushion your system.
Yep.
So while we're standing in line at the pizza tent line.
Now, what venue is this? Is this like an outdoor like stage?
Yeah,
or...
this is the town fairgrounds.
Got it. Okay.
Like,
So it's like
there is one set of stands that probably seats 200 people. And then
And then everyone else just stands around.
everyone else like stands around at the fence or sits on some temporary like aluminum bleachers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a Grange Hall at the edge of it and some food tents that they set up, and basically a fairgrounds event. And words going around, and there's chatter, which I never really understood that term until it happened, and that's pretty much what it sounded like. It's onomatopoetic. You know people are talking. You can't hear quite what they say, and it's just this rattling of
whisper, horse guy, whisper, whisper.
I'm a horse guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And totally. I get up there, and the dude, he's like, "Oh, you're the guy. What you want? It's on me."
Holy shit. You're the
belle of the ball now, dude.
Yeah.
I have become the princess.
Yes. You're the Legend of Rawhide Princess.
I am Princess Rawhide.
Oh, man. Your money's no good here, Your Majesty.
My coronation.
I didn't know we had royalty in our midst.
My coronation was under a horse.
I dubbed thee Princess Rawhide. Trouble.
So I'm like, don't have to pay the admission fee. I'm being fed for free. Like, random people who are hearing the chatter out there, sitting eating their pizza and their Subway sandwiches because they set up a tent and like, oh, can we buy you a drink? Tell us what happened. And I get fed. I get plied with even more alcohol, and we make our way up into the stands. And the chatter's going through the stands, and people like rose up and like down at the end of the row. People are pointing at me, and there's chatter, and like
we got a celebrity here.
People get up and move to make sure I've got the best view of the pageant.
Up.
Wow.
And then my aunt, the same aunt that I tripped over in the street,
who also took like a weird dive behind you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Who was the tabletop
Like,
that you vaulted over?
She fell down. I tabletopped over her. I get the horse. She gets away clean with like just some scraped up knees. She's also that year the MC of the entire event.
Right.
So my aunt gets on the PA to address the entire fairgrounds.
Oh, here we go.
To say, ladies and gentlemen, I have just been informed that the young man who was injured earlier today at the parade is okay. He has been discharged from the hospital, and he is, in fact, with us here today at the pageant.
Oh my god.
Woo! Yeah. 100% standing ovation. Members of the cast, by which I mean people in brownface,
God damn it.
who were not due to be out on the fairgrounds yet, rode out into the middle of the fairgrounds on horseback to cheer the fact that I had not been injured.
Too soon, man. Like, goddamn.
Wow.
And
That's a little tone deaf. I'm just saying.
So then there I was, being plied with free drinks, feeling relatively little pain.
Oh, free drinks, you say? All right. Well, always forgiven.
And watching the tale of how a wagon train headed west had a completely understandable miscommunication with a hunting party from a local tribe, and a couple of those fine young white men got upset and offended and went and decided that they were going to start shooting up the Indian camp, and so the Indians kidnapped those white people and tied them to a tree and skinned them alive.
Oh my god!
And
this is the legend.
This is the legend. And
I'm like, this is the whitewashed version. Like,
yes,
holy
yes,
shit!
This is the whitewashed version, and so lynch mob from the wagon train heads into the Indian camp, and they're going to kidnap and murder the daughter of the chief, i.e. the princess.
Oh,
Fuck's sake. Oh my god.
And like some elder member of the wagon train like steps in to try and make peace, and I don't really remember because I was on painkillers and many free drinks, but one way or another, after a couple white people get skinned alive and some Indians get shot and some other people get knifed to death, at some point people get together and say, hasn't there been enough killing?
Can't we all just get along?
Yes.
Can't we just form this tiny town of 1,500 people?
If you promise not to kill any more of us, we'll go back out onto the prairie and live our red-skinned lives, and you can set up a little town here, and we'll leave you the fuck alone. Namaste.
Wow.
Holy shit. Wait, and so they like reenact this? This
Yes.
is the reenactment.
I was picturing some real Pawnee kind of shit, and like this stuff got fucking gnarly so fast.
I believe they go through something like 10 gallons of fake blood every year.
Jesus
really?
Christ.
Yeah.
So it's like full-blown fucking
And-
gnarly shit.
The skinning tree is in fact a heritage prop. It is the only prop that has consistently appeared in every year's recreation of this legend for something like 15 or 20 years, is this blood-soaked chunk of like cottonwood tree that they've mounted to a base to tie high school kids to year after year after year,
And throw blood on them?
to portray the brutal treatment of those kindly whites by the Redskins.
Wow.
God.
Jeez.
I knew that this was going to get racist and weird,
Yeah, right? There was no way it wasn't going to,
but I had no idea how fucking gory it was going to be. Like,
But isn't there a thing in Parks and Rec where they have that big painting that's super gnarly?
That's
or whatever?
what's so fucking dumb about what I said is like, oh, I thought there was going to be like some Pawnee shit, but like this is literally some Pawnee shit. Like,
Yeah.
this is exactly some Pawnee shit.
Totally.
Fucking,
Here's the thing,
we
like-
fucking they kidnapped some white folks, so we fucking kidnapped and murdered some Indians, and like then they skinned some white people alive, and we were like just murdering the whole tribe, and then it was like, hasn't there been enough killing?
Yeah, and then we gotta prop this up as a whole ass fucking pageant and celebration, like,
Right.
oh.
And
Okay.
we're gonna
have
do
a
it
mural.
2 nights for a town of 1,500 people.
Oh, man. Early show's different than late show, folks.
There's only one parade, but there's 2 nights of performance.
So I would just like to point out that like no fucking wonder some fucking foreign folks like to come and see this shit, cause like wow. Fucking wow. Where else are you gonna see a show like that where everyone is like earnest about it, you know? It's like just some fucking kidnapping and killing.
Like, I am proud to be the person who gets to be the princess.
Yeah.
Now,
You should be proud.
Thank you. I was the beer princess.
The beer princess, yeah, dude.
Just in case there hadn't been enough racism in the story so far.
Oh,
Just to
no.
bump that knob a little bit further.
Oh no.
First of all, my cousin, who was portraying the daughter of the chief, the princess of the pageant, she did not have to be in red face because as a 1/4 Japanese person, she was determined to be not white enough or so non-white that she could easily portray a Native American without having to put on red face makeup.
We got ourselves a real ethnic here.
That is some weird hairs to be splitting.
Yes, you're darker than the rest of the white folks, but not a blackie, so...
Oh, man.
Like...
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So there's that, but the last final bump I'm going to make to that racism knob...
Dude, they're like, what if we went to 11?
is the fact that there is a reason that I got trampled by a horse.
This is where my questioning was going to come in, so I'm glad we're getting here.
I mean, like, fucking tell me more. Because, like, I'm like, that can't possibly be true.
I'll give you a chance to ask your question. It may be answered anyway, but what was it you were wondering?
I mean, that was literally my question. It was like, what spurred this whole thing? What caused the commotion?
Oh, right, because
like,
something
happened?
had to have caused the fucking
Something
panic.
happened,
yeah,
that caused this horse to freak out.
The shortest possible answer to that question is Leonard Nimoy and Gunsmoke, basically. There were two young men who were playing Native Americans, who were riding in the parade, who, by their own admission, had this idea in their heads that they wanted to give the best possible performance they could. They wanted to take their roles seriously.
In the parade?
The parade is part of the show.
Fuck's sake.
It's the best. It's the biggest gig of the year, my friend.
It's the opening act.
I really wanted to method act this fucking red face that I was in.
You
Man.
And so, in order to provide the best possible performance they could for the part that they were given, they both said, we've watched John Wayne movies, we've watched Clint Eastwood movies, what do the Indians always do? They get drunk and they ride into town, scaring the white people, making a lot of ruckus, like riding their horses through crowds of people, basically like treating their horses as melee weapons to scare the white settlers.
So that is not entirely incorrect. But what I would like to point out is that those natives grew up with horses and were probably as good at riding horses as a fucking rodeo trick rider.
Right.
So for them to get drunk and ride their horses through town causing a ruckus is like a kid on a bike.
Right.
Fucking, or I'm sorry, not even a kid on a bike, like a pro BMX rider on a bike. Like fucking
Yeah,
you can
doing tricks. Like, I don't know, like they were one with their fucking horses. Like that wasn't a big deal for them. They could pull that shit off. So like, I'm not saying that these white kids were necessarily drunk and being idiots, but like,
they were. They were just imitating things that they couldn't pull off.
Fucking goddamn it.
So yeah, the horses they were riding did not belong to them or their families.
Oh my god.
What? So they were on animals that they were not familiar with.
Were they drunk?
They were indeed drunk.
Sons of bitches.
And they made the conscious decision to drunkenly ride their horses onto the sidewalk to disrupt...
Onto the sidewalk?
Onto the sidewalk, into the crowd of parade spectators.
So they just
that's
steered
fucking,
them into a crowd?
That's attempted manslaughter.
They intentionally...
That's literally fucking...
While drunk, steered to, like, almost 1-ton animals...
Yeah, you like
into a crowd for the sake of a performance in a parade.
Whoa.
No, that's not how stunt writers fucking do it. Like,
and
Jesus Christ.
The horse panicked.
Of course.
Because it was surrounded by people.
Because it didn't want to ride into a crowd.
It didn't want to hurt anyone.
And so at the point at which I turned around and saw the underside of a horse, like 5 feet away from me, it was because that horse was freaked the fuck out.
Fuck, that poor horse is probably fucking traumatized. Like, Jesus Christ.
Literally, right?
And it was just trying to find a way out of a traumatic situation for it.
Absolutely.
So, the things that I have learned from this experience are... 2 Vicodin is not enough for a horse trampling.
That's science.
Just right off the bat, let's be clear here.
That's measurable.
If you're gonna sustain serious injury, try and do it in such a way that people will buy you free drinks for the next 3 weeks.
Right?
Math checks out, yeah.
Because here's the thing.
Did you get laid?
I did not get laid.
Because that's about the only thing they didn't give you.
In a town that size, I wouldn't have trusted anybody available.
I was going to say...
honestly, they probably didn't have that many available horses anyway. So.
Get fucked, Wyoming. Vermont, you got it easy that time.
So, after sitting through the whole pageant and taking some pictures there, I got many more free drinks after the pageant, and actually for the remaining 2 weeks that I was in town, I did not pay for a drink because I would walk into a bar. There were 3 of them in town.
Yeah.
Which is actually, and here's another
It's actually kind of wild that 1,500 people can support 3 watering holes.
That's why I was laughing.
Here's
so
the thing.
Hard.
It has 3 of what we would consider bars.
Mm-hmm.
The town considers that it has 4 bars.
Oh.
Because the liquor store, which also has a drive-through.
Oh, yeah. This is Wyoming.
Midwest laws.
Has a rule that, like, obviously, you can't buy something in the liquor store and just start drinking there. It's a store.
Right.
But they have one of those spring-loaded double swinging saloon doors.
Yep.
To a separate room. So you can go into the liquor store, buy your booze at liquor store prices instead of bar prices, and then just go through those swinging double doors to the other room and play video poker and drink the booze you bought in the liquor store because you're not still in the store. There's no cash register in there. It is not a store. It's the bar attached to the liquor store.
Well, and there's a lot of places in Wyoming where, they don't really differentiate the two. Like, because I went on this big, long camping trip and popped into this little town and was like, oh, we should get a bottle of whiskey while we're here. So I started asking around, like, hey, where's the liquor store? And everyone's like, giving me funny eyes, like, liquor store? We'll just go to the fucking bar. And I was like, well, what do you... No, I'm not trying to, like, drink now. And they're like, no. Like, you go there. So I walked in and I was like... Can I get a bottle of Jack? And they just, like, pulled one from behind the bar, sold it to me, and was like, have a good day. Fucking sent me on my way. And I was like, all right, well, cool.
This is the weird thing about Oregon, though, is, like, we have this strange mafia fucking organizing body that governs all of our fucking liquor sales. So,
yes,
like,
the OLCC.
Exactly. And, you know, in other states, like, they just ceded control of liquor to the actual government instead of a weird third-party corporation that poses as a governmental body. So, like, you know, that's why we can't buy booze and liquor in grocery stores here in Oregon.
Right.
It's because
so they made weird laws here. Like you can buy beer and wine till 2:30 in the morning, which is like not super common in a lot of places. You also can buy beer to go out of bars here, just not liquor to go.
Yep.
So
no, and I'm not completely complaining about how it works.
Yeah,
because it's good enough.
It's just weird that everyone.
But it's weird, right?
Yeah.
Like I always thought the OLCC was an actual government organization, but it's a fucking company.
It is.
That's run by a family that has owned it since the end of Prohibition. So I don't know if that's a crime family, but
right.
they certainly were selling booze before Prohibition ended. So you tell me.
Yeah. It's a good point. I did not know that.
Interesting.
But
so
yeah, for the whole time that I remained in town, I would walk into a bar or a restaurant, and people would go, "Hey, you're the horse guy. I'll buy you a drink if you tell me what really happened."
Yes.
be like, it's horse guy. Yeah. Right.
Oh, that's so good.
I was front page news of the local newspaper, with the interesting aspect of that being that the reporter referred to it as the alleged incident.
Oh.
And it's
you full of shit about the horse trample.
It's like,
Well-
I've got the lucky charm right here, like this big purple bruise, but
they don't want to call the fucking rancher who owns the horse into question. So it's
were
alleged.
at least 100 people that watched the paramedics cut my clothes off in the middle of the street, but
Right.
call it an alleged incident, that's fine.
Fucking
Now,
goddamn.
okay. Now, did anyone get in fucking trouble for this?
Yes, the two young men who rode their horses into the crowd, both spent the night in jail on DUIs.
Naturally. Okay.
So you can get a Dewey on a horse.
horseback.
You fucking can.
Oh, it's so good.
And it's common in Wyoming. Well, I don't know if it's common, but like,
So
more than anywhere
obviously,
else.
They were not participants in the actual reenactment that year.
Right?
Oof. Their understudies were stoked.
Yeah.
They just got their fucking red paint.
Another
Like,
thing
yes, it's go time.
that I learned
Fuck.
was that, not everything that our parents teach us as children about the way to live your life is correct and applicable to all situations.
This is an important lesson.
Because I was raised by parents who wanted me to understand that people make mistakes, accidents happen, people do dumb shit, and if you cannot demonstrate that it is in bad faith, in other words, if you can't demonstrate that this was not a one-off,
Right.
then you need to be prepared to forgive people their faults, their poor decisions.
Right. Never attribute to malice what can be described by stupidity.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Well,
So
It's a law. It's not Murphy's Law, but I could look it up.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's another
yeah.
one of those.
I came out of the situation with, okay, there are some nicks and scuffs to my camera. It might be in bad shape, but I don't have any broken bones. I didn't have a concussion. I didn't require any kind of surgery. Like
2 weeks of free drinks.
2 weeks, 2 weeks of free drinks. I got some great mom jeans out of the deal. So these kids were like 19. I remember being a stupid shit at 19.
Yeah.
I am not going to press charges. I am not going to sue these guys.
Sure.
Sure, yeah. No harm, no foul.
Presumably, the psychological and emotional trauma of knowing that the stupid thing they did, like, could have killed somebody but didn't
Now,
will be the learning experience for them.
wait, and this is my other quick question. So they like steered these horses around, rode into the crowd. But you're the only one who got hit. Like, did anyone else get a fucking hoof to the dome or anything?
I was the only injury other than, like, skinned knees and people who fell down trying to escape the horse. I was the only horse casualty.
Okay, so after it hit you and leapt over you, it didn't proceed to, like, hit anyone else
No,
or anything?
they guided it down the street that was free from parade people and like, calmed their horses down.
Like, as far as I'm concerned, as long as you're good, it's all good, right? Like,
yeah,
that's how I felt about it. I said, here's the deal. Like, I worked with the Victims Association or whatever the fuck they call it, that
to get restitution or whatever, yeah.
And I said, here's what I want. I don't pay a single medical bill from anything that results from this.
Naturally.
Completely fair.
And you buy me a new camera.
Also, very firm but fair.
So all of my medical bills were covered. I did receive some bills in the mail from the hospital about 8 months later and said, call these people and fuck you. And nothing more ever came from it. I got $650 to buy a new camera that I ended up giving to my landlord so I didn't get evicted.
Shit.
This is all fair.
Your camera was good, though. It was dinged up, but it still worked.
Yeah, it continued to work for another, 6-7 years.
Nice. Okay.
Decent.
I didn't sue anybody, but I also, being a person who was not a reckless child and worked to avoid accidents and injury, it wasn't really clear to me that sometimes you can walk away from something one day that, like, 3 years later kicks you in the ass.
And this is the the fucking the lower part of the iceberg, if you will, with the whole, like, I'm good, then it's all good kind of thing.
Yeah, and so I didn't sue the kids, and honestly, my brother, who still lives in Horse Trample, he gets thanked on a regular basis by both the head of the Rawhide committee.
Shut the fuck up.
Damn.
The rancher who provided the horses.
Right.
And the father of the kid who rode the horse that ran me over. They're like, please tell your brother how grateful we are that he just was satisfied with 3 months of medical bills and a new camera, because he easily could have, like, owned our fucking ranch.
Right?
Could have closed this pageant down. And the thing is,
could have been the mayor of
like,
Lost. Fuck the princess.
Can I abdicate?
I'm fucking governor, mayor, judge, jury, and executioner.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
So,
First order of business, I'm ending this racist fucking festival.
My first decree as princesses, you're all fucking fired.
Yeah.
like 4 years later, I ended up administered to the hospital in almost an emergency situation because I went to see my doctor, who referred me to a neurologist. Like, they did an MRI, and that MRI was the week before Christmas.
Oh.
And they said, it's the week before Christmas. You're not likely to get any results from this until the week after Christmas. So don't worry about it.
You went in with like some pain.
I went in with pain and all sorts of problems, and again, this was 2015.
Okay.
So 3 years later.
Yeah.
And they did the MRIs and said, we'll contact you in about 2 weeks. And they contacted me 3 days later. They contacted me on December 23rd and said, can you come in tomorrow for surgery?
Jesus.
Oh, shit.
We are concerned that the state of your health right now is such that one bad slip on the ice or a car accident could sever your spinal column and kill you.
Holy fuck.
Whoa.
And I politely declined.
No.
I said, if this could be the last Christmas I have, I'm going to spend it with my family and not in a recovery room. And if I survive Christmas, then we'll do the surgery like before New Year's.
Okay,
shit.
fair enough.
But
baller.
basically, a very strong case could be made for the fact that when I went down and hit my head, it fucked up my spine in a way that put a dangerous amount of impingement on my spinal cord in my neck, in a way that, like, 3 years later, my left hand had stopped working.
Fuck.
Dude.
Like, every now and then, my pinky and ring fingers would just not respond to commands to move. I couldn't type. My nerve sensation was such that if I reached into my pocket to grab loose change, I couldn't tell the difference between what was a quarter and what was a dime. So I, a strong case could have been made for suing somebody out of existence and having a much different life than I do right now.
Sure.
But
But do you even get that opportunity 3 years later? Like, not really, right?
No, because I was on record as saying this is all the compensation that I need from this.
Right.
And the legal statutes were such that you needed to make any additional claims within a year of
Yep.
the injury.
Right.
Yep.
And so, I've got a great story and some local notoriety in a horse trample, and I walk with a cane, and that's what I get out of this.
Shit, man.
Yeah, so we're 10 years out from this now, and then you're still dealing with, like, crazy pain, and I mean, are you still have these symptoms with your left hand and things too?
I do. There are some other injuries that certainly contributed before that. Like I have no doubt that other untreated injuries from earlier in my life had like a cumulative effect. This isn't 100% horse, but it's as much horse as a Big Mac in the 80s.
We're going the deep cuts. Oh man. So did you get that surgery? Mm-hmm. Okay. So a slip and fall isn't going to kill you?
No, New Year's Eve of 2015, I went in for surgery. They removed the disc between my C3 and C4.
Shit.
Put in a chunk of plastic, screwed a metal plate into the C3 and C4 to hold them in place, and then smeared some shit in there to motivate bone growth between the vertebra and fuse those two in place.
Shit. That's intense, dude.
I've actually, like, for all the problems I have now, the surgery did fix a lot of the problems I was having then. Mm-hmm. My fingers don't really stop working anymore. I don't think they're ever going to be 100%.
Yeah.
But, every now and then there's a weird click that happens in my neck when I swallow because I'm not sure they got everything back where it was supposed to go. The surgical assistant told me when I came out of anesthesia, like, I tell you what, man, we really had to wrench on some shit in there to get this job done.
Dude.
That is a direct quote. I remember that.
That's not what you want to hear about your fucking spinal column.
Yeah,
man.
it really is,
Right,
dude. Yeah.
Jesus.
But
Tell you what, man. Had to fucking, like, just put my knee in there and fucking give it a fucking Fonzie, you know what I'm saying?
there were 2 or 3 parts we couldn't figure out where they went, so we just left them out when we put you back together. But, you know.
In all my years, I've never seen a doctor bust out a crowbar. But here we are.
So that's, you know, that's... I saw the pageant. I became an inescapable historical aspect of the pageant.
Now they tell the legend of Horse Guy every year as like there's a little sub fucking parade.
So
bit.
yeah, like now like once they finish
Just a
talking
guy
about,
in tidy whities fucking that they toss off the fucking they toss him off a bike and fucking
Some poor teenager that they cover in yellow body paint and carry on a stretcher.
God damn it. God damn it. I was gonna say they just threw a crash test dummy in front of the horses every year and let them trample it, but you know, it seemed a little insensitive.
That is the legend of Rawhide. That is.
Woof, man.
That is the most significant story I have out of Horse Trample, Wyoming.
That's probably the most significant story out of Horse Trample, Wyoming.
I mean,
Like, I guess except for the legend, but who knows what actually happened.
right? You might also be the only royalty that I know.
It's true.
Gonna be honest, I was a little bit miffed that the article in Harper's Magazine didn't mention my part of the story at all.
Son of a bitch.
Those motherfuckers, man.
Gonna talk about some fucking kidnapping and murdering and not throwing the horse trampling? Like,
Right? Yeah. Some thrilling fucking modern update to the legend, to the legend of the legend.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Man,
get
well,
the whole story.
dude, I mean, as a cautionary tale, and this goes for like literally everyone out there, fucking life pro tip, dude, if you get in a car accident and like you walk away and you feel fine, go to the doctor. You need documentation on this stuff. It just doesn't matter. And like, yeah, maybe you're fine. You're probably fine. Hopefully you're fine. But shit can manifest years later, dude. And if you don't do the initial work of at least just going to the doctor and being checked out, it becomes infinitely harder to get insurance money or to get into lawsuits or whatever. So like, this is very similar. Like, just if injuries are weird, man. If you get injured and like you think you're fine, just go to the doctor. Just first thing, just do that.
100%.
And then from there, like hopefully you are just fine. But yeah, it's a real pisser to get fucking caught up years later and be like, oh, that thing that happened? Yeah, it's fucking my shit up now.
Oh, well, what's fucked up is, for me, like, it's not even that thing that happened. It's like, well, which thing do you think that was? Because it's like, I've been hit by cars, I've fallen off of roofs, like,
right?
Like a fucking, I'm not even gonna, let's not even go there. But like,
no, totally.
Like I just.
No, just as a little PSA to everyone, just like, oh, man, just go get checked out. Like, you just do it. That way you have it on record that you did.
Especially if you're at work. My God.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference for insurance stuff. It makes a big difference for just down the road stuff. So, yeah. Man, Jeremy, I'm really glad that you're here to tell this tale. And, like, God, it could have been uglier than it was,
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that you got fucked up, but it's good that you're here to tell the story.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you. For anybody who's wondering, I don't still own the mom jeans.
Allegedly, those mom jeans are no longer owned by you.
Allegedly, for sure. But yeah, man, before we get out of here, you want to plug your Twitter and your Insta? People can follow you, check out your photography.
don't do a lot with Twitter.
We'll just do the Insta, because you put up some cool shit on there.
I do. I don't remember what the fuck my handle is.
Wait, hold on. I'm pulling it up real quick. Some professional photographer, am I right?
So you're gonna want to go to Instagram and search for Jeremy.
Yeah.
My pictures are out
Search
there.
for the Princess of Horse Trample.
It's Princess Horse Trample at Jeremy.
No, wait, you're Awesome Monkey.
Yes.
Awesome Monkey on Instagram. So yeah.
AWESOMONKEY.
That's how it is, right, totally. Yeah, unique spelling to that. But yeah, check it out. Check it out, folks. Fucking...
We'll have links in the show notes.
Yeah, Jeremy did our wedding photography, and a lot of it turned out... Sorry. All of it turned out great.
Most of it wasn't shit.
You know, except for those guys in drag.
A ton of it was really good. No, seriously, man. Well, shit, yeah, dude. Thanks for coming to do this, and yeah, we'll set up another one soon. I know you have like so many more good stories too.
Oh, so
that
many.
Aren't you just getting fucking wrecked?
This was great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, hell yeah.